I once knew a friend who was always patient and sacrificed herself for the one she loved. She believed that true love meant sacrificing everything for the other person. I once told her, sooner or later, you'll understand that a long-lasting relationship needs to be built on mutual understanding and shared growth, not on what you're doing, sacrificing unilaterally and feeling self-pity for all you've given. Love needs balance. But right now, I see you slowly losing yourself, and he doesn't truly care about you. Hearing that, she suddenly became annoyed and retorted, "You're not involved. What do you understand?" Why did she react so strongly? Because most people don't want to hear the truth, and even fewer have the courage to face reality. The truth is, when you're no longer yourself in a relationship, when you become increasingly weak and insecure, letting go is better sooner rather than later. In the book Danshari, which I've introduced before, there's a saying, "Things that cannot be done should be severed, don't. People with no destined connection should be released, za. Attachments in the heart should be detached, lie. What the eyes see are memories, what the heart thinks is the past. Only by letting go of attachments can one return to peace." Today's book, The Power of Being Yourself, follows up on Marie Kondo's Danshari Concepts by Hideko Yamashita. Hideko divides people into three types: people on the ground, people in the trees, and people in airplanes. People on the ground are unaware of what things or emotions are unnecessary, unsuitable, or uncomfortable. They cannot let go of the past, nor move towards the future. People in the trees are those who have gone through a process of selection and decision, knowing they need to let go but still hesitating, finding reasons to return to their original state. Therefore, their mood is often restless. People in airplanes are those who can freely look down at the scenery from above and can also return to the trees or land at will. People in airplanes possess the true power of being at ease. Why do I want to continue introducing books related to letting go and minimalism, and what does it have to do with the power of being yourself? The majority of people are still standing on the ground, clinging to unnecessary attachments, burdened by sorrow and worry because of them. Some others manage to climb into the trees, realizing they need to let go, but still make excuses to turn back. For example, after hearing about Danshari, a friend immediately listed attachments, belongings, and people they needed to Danshari. But in the end, they didn't have the courage to jump into the airplane, only silently returning to their restless life on the ground. Deep down, I know you haven't truly lived at ease. That's why today, I truly hope to share the lessons from this book to help you step from the ground into the vast sky, opening up infinite possibilities in life, moving towards freedom, self-reliance, and inner peace. This is also the path to true transcendence, serenity, and being at ease in life. Leaving the ground, walking with ease. First, let's address the relationship between ourselves and our possessions. The ground often symbolizes the material world, connecting us to basic needs like food, work, and ownership. Living in the material world, we naturally need to know how to walk on the ground, meaning how to utilize material things to survive. However, if we develop an attachment, we can easily become clingy to the material desires around us. Since the dawn of humanity, we have depended on and valued material possessions, and throughout history, we've formed a habit of thinking with material things as our center point. If a person becomes bound and dependent on this material axis, they will completely lose their own axis and cannot live freely and at ease. Author Hideko emphasizes that the power of being yourself is the ultimate destination of Danshari. In other words, to achieve this state of ease, we must first have the courage to discard unnecessary possessions. So why is letting go of possessions so important? It's because possessions are not merely objects. More precisely, they are the concretization of intangible things. All the possessions around you have been chosen and acquired by you through receiving, buying, and expending effort. It can be said that your current living and working space is full of possessions that reflect your inner world. For instance, there are gifts that made you very happy when you received them, but you rarely paid attention to them. You stored them in a closet, only to see them again when cleaning. Yet you can't bear to throw them away. Seeing them, you feel how important you once were to the giver. Now, try looking around your home. How many things can you not part with? The more there are, the greater your attachment to the material world and trivial things will be. We need to understand that what humans truly need is actually very simple. When you can't discard something, ask yourself if you're falling into one of these situations. You think these things aren't broken yet, it'd be a waste to throw them away. Or, you might need this someday. Or, this was a gift from that person, and immediately an image of the giver appears in your mind. There are things that are truly unnecessary and may never be used, but you complicate your relationship with them, turning them into a relationship between you and the past and future. Unintentionally, you cannot live in the present, cannot focus on the present. Therefore, you must regularly declutter your house and your room. Each time you declutter is also an opportunity to declutter your soul. Gradually, the habit of Danshari will help you stop buying and stop striving to own unnecessary things. Once you form the habit of Danshari, you will realize that being at ease is not far away. It's not about wandering freely through vast spaces across the world, but simply about starting right within your small living space. Danshari is like the foundation of a pyramid. It helps you reach the peak of the pyramid, where you can see through the essence of things and illuminate your lost inner self. A person who is at ease is not someone who goes wherever they want, but someone who knows their path and where they need to return. And Danshari is the starting step towards a state of free and easy living. Here, don means to sever ties with redundant possessions, for example, things you bought because they were cheap, or promotional items given away when you already have many at home. Za means to release, to let go of unused possessions, for example, broken items, packaging, forgotten objects in a corner, or things bought on a whim like books or a guitar that are never touched. For these items, if you think you might need them someday, discard them. You'll find that someday might stretch on and even never arrive. If you feel bad about throwing them away, give them to someone else or sell them. In reality, these items left with you are not being used. Change your mindset to allow others who can use them to benefit from them. You will find that after doing so, you are no longer attached to those possessions. And finally, lai means to separate yourself from the attachment to material things. Let go of the attachment to owning as much as possible. Let go of the attachment that it's a waste to throw away or a waste to give away. If ascending into the airplane symbolizes the power to achieve a state of ease, then learning to let go through Danshari is the ticket to take flight. Only by letting go of superfluous material possessions can you effectively use the essential ones to help you smoothly navigate the journey of life, gaining the power of freedom and ease, flying to necessary places, and meeting necessary people, events, and possessions at the most opportune moments in your life. To take flight, enhance emotional resilience, let go of life's worries asterisk. We need to accept the truth that as long as we live, worries will exist. Once anxiety and worries persist, a state of ease will automatically leave you. Many things around us cause dissatisfaction or anger, but if every time you're bothered by these things, it indicates that your emotional resilience is very low. This is why you cannot become a person at ease in the airplane. So, what is emotional resilience? Just as the body has an immune system, if someone accidentally catches a cold, they can often recover quickly without medication. Similarly, in the inner world, emotional resilience is like that. Faced with the same problem, a person with low emotional resilience will overthink, easily get annoyed, frustrated, and angry. Negative emotions will cover their heart like a thick black cloud, full of endless worries. But a person with high emotional resilience is completely unaffected, maintaining a cheerful spirit, loving life, the world, and all things every day. Let's assess your emotional resilience through these 3 characteristics. 1. People with low resilience often lack self-confidence. Simply put, when problems arise, they often have a negative attitude. I can't do this. This is too difficult. I'm incapable, and so on. 2. Unconsciously centering others. What does it mean to center others? It means that in life, you are constantly affected by the judgments, behaviors, and words of others. People with low emotional resilience often want others to think well of them, so they are very sensitive and react strongly to criticism, blame, and dislike. They always want to be understood and validated by others. 3. Self-limitation. These people often fear change, have a self-protective mindset, avoiding risks and failures. If you possess any of these 3 characteristics, It indicates that your emotional resilience is not yet high. These characteristics will cause you to always carry heavy worries, preventing you from enjoying a state of ease and the beauty of every moment in life. So, how can we enhance emotional resilience? The core method to answer this question is, instead of centering others, establish your asterisk self-axis asterisk asterisk. What is the self-axis? In yoga and traditional medicine, the self-axis is a harmonious, unified axis between intellect, emotion, and will, operating through the physical body. Intellect here corresponds to the head, responsible for thinking. Emotion corresponds to the chest, responsible for feelings. Will corresponds to the asterisk danshan, lower abdomen, responsible for vital energy. When these 3 points function harmoniously, they form a core that is unaffected by external influences. That is your self-axis. Through yoga and meditation, you can practice to ensure the energy in these 3 points flows smoothly and is not blocked. This is a wonderful practice that can be influenced from the outside, but from within, if you do not have the conscious awareness and earnest desire for self-development in these 3 aspects, intellect, emotion, and will, it will be very difficult to thoroughly enhance your inner resilience. For example, reading books is one way to develop yourself, but most people prefer to lie on the sofa and scroll through their phones in their free time. So, specifically, how does one enhance emotional resilience based on the self-axis? This book advises the following. First, regarding asterisk intellect, you need to break free from fixed mindsets. Break fixed mindsets to not limit your life, and only then can you truly live at ease. Some say that human expectations are like shackles that pull you back or imprison you. But in reality, what imprisons us is not expectations, but the fixed mindset behind those expectations. For example, the author once encountered a case where a 70-year-old wife told her husband, "I even took care of your mother's personal hygiene, yet you couldn't say a single word of thanks." This desire for thanks had been repeated throughout their 45 years of marriage and had become a deep-seated sorrow and sense of injustice for the wife. For a wife in this situation, it is truly heartbreaking. The husband might be an irresponsible type of man. However, according to the author, the wife's suffering largely stemmed from her own fixed mindset. She believed that she had made efforts to help her husband's family and therefore deeply hoped for recognition and appreciation from her husband. There was always a voice within her continuously reminding her, "If you put in the effort to care, you should be thanked." But in reality, this is a one-sided thought of the wife. Perhaps the husband did not have such a value system. Perhaps he believed that as husband and wife, there was no need for formal words of thanks, and that it was natural for a wife to help her husband. Faced with this situation, the author advises, break free from your fixed mindset, rebuild your values, and return to your self-axis. Did the wife help her husband care for his mother truly just for a thank you? The truth is no. It was because she loved her husband and her family and was willing to take on the responsibility. This is self-recognition of her own worth, unrelated to needing her husband to say thank you. Therefore, instead of letting a fixed mindset bind you, appreciate your self-worth more. The second piece of advice is regarding emotion within the self-axis. This means we need to learn to master our emotions. A person who can master emotions is someone who always finds their correct position without being pulled into the axis of others. How do we do this? By observing carefully without any judgment or blame towards others. For example, when you see someone behaving unacceptably, thoughts like, "How could they do that?" or "How could they do that to me?" might appear in your mind. Just by thinking like this, you've started judging and blaming others, and negative emotions like anger will surge. The simple way to return to your self-axis is to merely observe the behavior and acknowledge, "Oh, so that's how they act." Similarly, with yourself, don't think, "I'm so insecure. Why can't I do anything?" Instead, just observe, "I thought that, I felt that at that moment." That is enough. In other words, you just need to describe your most authentic thoughts, emotions, and feelings without adding any judgment. Finally, regarding will asterisk asterisk. Will here means letting go of desire. The root human desire here is the desire for external validation. To achieve this, we not only need to rely on our self-axis, but also need to be consciously aware of the other axis. For example, you have a very difficult leader. When you do well, he doesn't praise you. When you do poorly, he immediately criticizes you harshly. At this point, you will feel it's unfair. wishing he would correctly acknowledge your efforts. But when you stop at this thought, it means you are still centering others, wanting the leader to change. If you have established your self-axis, meaning you only observe and do not judge, you might just remain silent, ignore it, and continue working. However, when you simultaneously center yourself and are aware of centering others, you will change your thinking. Even if you don't like this leader, he is still a colleague in the same team, and the workplace atmosphere is also very important. Therefore, you can at least communicate politely with him. When you know how to balance maintaining your self-worth with understanding the value of surrounding relationships, you will find peace and harmony in relationships. Your self-axis will help you not be swayed by praise or criticism. The other axis will help you maintain harmony and cooperation with those around you. This is also how you grow and achieve a state of ease when facing things that don't go your way. Author Hideko has a profound insight into the power of being yourself. She suggests that the power of being yourself is equivalent to self-reliance combined with freedom and a state of being at ease. That is, the power of being yourself will help you experience the mental state of self-reliance, freedom, and being at ease. Self-reliance means the ability to clearly distinguish the nature of relationships. Faced with any problem, we can self-demand and self-act without relying on the judgment or opinions of others, without needing validation. This is the state of an ego that centers itself, loving oneself. Freedom, thanks to establishing the self-axis, means being able to center others when necessary, to act flexibly and adaptively. This is the state of a free and flexible ego. Finally, being at ease means not being affected by dualistic concepts like good-bad, rich-poor, skilled-unskilled, right-wrong, or superficial views. It means accepting the original state of one's thoughts, emotions, and feelings to observe without judgment. This is a state of a generous, compassionate ego with gratitude for all things. With the power of being yourself, your life will undergo significant changes. It can even create a revolution in your destiny. Now we can reach a certain high altitude, where you will have a panoramic view to clearly understand the essence of people, events, and objects. In conclusion, we will briefly review today's sharing. The first thing for us to achieve being at ease is to have a conscious and earnest desire for self-development to become a person in an airplane. To ascend, the first thing you need is to leave the ground, letting go of attachment to material possessions. Remember, discarding unnecessary items is not just about cleaning your house, but about reevaluating your relationship with the people, events, and objects around you. After freeing yourself from material attachments, to truly take flight, you need to lighten your baggage, those worries you encounter when things don't go your way. You do this by enhancing your emotional resilience through establishing your self-axis, which includes intellect, breaking fixed mindsets; emotion, mastering your emotions, not getting lost in the axis of others; will ***, letting go of the desire for external validation. And the final point, when you are at a higher level, having gained a panoramic view, the power of being yourself is the highest level of soul strength. With this ability, you will have experienced living with self-reliance, freedom, and being at ease. A philosopher once said that life is a journey back to a state of ease. I hope all of us can hold steady on this journey and allow ourselves to be at ease in every moment.